Hey, I've got a big question for you. Is your church friendly? Like, have you created a welcoming environment for newcomers? Now, if you ask most churches, they'd say, well, of course we're friendly. We're like the friendliest place in town. But in reality, they're not as friendly as they think they are. I mean, they're friendly, all right. They're just friendly to each other. They're friendly because they're friends. And it's easy to be friendly to your friends. But what about the stranger? Are you friendly to the stranger? You know, we can think that we're a friendly church, but not be friendly to the people that are brand new, just walking through the doors. So, how do you tell whether or not your church is friendly to newcomers? I have a few suggestions for you. One thing you could do is to establish an Eyes of the Visitor task force. We did this a few years ago. 3 or 4 people, put them together, video cameras, take notes, and they come into the church pretending like they're first time visitors, observing it through fresh eyes, pretending like this is the first time they'd ever experienced it. Boy, that was an education for us when they showed us the video. Do you know what we saw when we observed their video? It was this: the backs of people's heads. Yeah, that's what it was. The backs of people's heads. Little clusters of people gathered together, laughing, talking to each other, but not inviting the new people into the circle. And if a newcomer comes in and just sees the backs of people's heads, they're not going to stay. And they're going to say that you are a very friendly church to each other, but not to new people. You can also enlist a mystery visitor, a mystery worshiper, somebody that you pay maybe $50 or something. Have them come in, a person that doesn't come to your church, and just have them take notes on what they experienced and then report back to you. A third way is to put feedback cards into your visitor letters. And so we send a letter to everybody that comes to the church, and if they're local, we put a card in there saying, hey, tell us about your experience. What happened? How did you feel? What was good? What needs changing? Stuff like that. And they let us know. And if we drop the ball, we hear about it. And most of the time, they talk about our ushers and our greeters and how friendly they were welcomed. And that's just wonderful because that's exactly what I hope for. Now, how do you create a welcoming environment for the newcomers? Let me give you a few thoughts. First of all, create an inviting entrance. You know, the front door. Is the grass and the landscaping, does it look okay? Is the parking lot all right? Are there weeds coming up through the cracks? Take care of that stuff because all of it matters. It really does. Second, pay close attention to the nursery and the women's restroom, which I believe are the two most important rooms in the church. A young visiting mom comes in, and if the nursery is really crummy and the women's bathroom is a mess, she's not going to come back. Third, post your friendliest greeters at the door. Put friendly people there. When I first came to the church, we had a guy at the door who wasn't very friendly. He was a nice man, but he had a permanent scowl, and he never smiled, and he just handed out bulletins. You know, that's the way he did it. And I thought, man, we can't do this. So I put a couple of very friendly people at the door. I moved my friend over. I didn't fire him. I just moved him over a little bit, and then put a couple of other greeters past him at the entrance of the sanctuary. So a new person would come in, and then right away, hey, good to see you, and then hey, good to see you. So it worked great. They all worked together as a team. Number 4 is declare war on insider language. Like, don't say anything from up front that a visitor wouldn't understand. Like, don't say in your announcements, if you want to know more information about the women's event, see Barbara, because the visitor won't know who Barbara is. So just be very clear about this. Next, train everybody in your church to be a befriender. That everybody is a greeter. Everyone. My friend John Metz showed up at a church one time. Nobody greeted him. John came up to the pastor and said, hey, nobody talked to me today. The pastor said, oh, no, I wonder what happened to our greeters. John said, every member of your church is a greeter. Don't you ever forget it. Everybody's a greeter. Number 6, look for ways to make multiple connections. You see, if a person has 7 to 10 friends within a year, they're going to stay at your church. And if they don't have 7 to 10 friends, they won't stay. So it's imperative that as soon as you can, you introduce them to more friends. So instead of just making the greeter needs to be an introducer too. Hey, let me introduce you to my friend Ted. And then you have another friend. Of course, the best way to do this is to get the new person involved in a small group. You automatically have 7 to 8 friends instantly. You follow up with a note, an email, a phone call, or a visit. And I'm finding more and more that a letter, an actual letter in the mail, works best because they're so rare these days, particularly if it's handwritten. And then lastly, make easy on-ramps for involvement. Like help the new person get involved. Invite them into stuff. Ask them to come with you, to give them a job or something, to invite them to the next function so that they feel like they're wanted and that they're needed. And when they feel this way and you give them an easy way to get involved, they'll do it rather than making them try to navigate all that on their own. Well, hey, I hope your church is a Velcro church rather than a Teflon church, and that you continue to create a welcoming environment for your newcomers.